Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining today. We're really excited. We know this is a hot topic. ChatGPT has been the buzz for a very, very long time, and now we get to talk about SearchGPT or ChatGPT Search, whatever version of the name you want to end up use. So let's get started. Today we're going to pretty much break down how you can rank on ChatGPT search. All right. Igor, can you share the slides, please? All right. So my name is Neil Patel. I'm the co-founder of NP Digital. Today I have Anna and Jane with me. Anna, do you want to give a quick, overview of your bio? And Jane, you can do the same after.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Anna Holmquist. I'm a senior SEO manager here at NP Digital, supporting both enterprise and SMBs. I've been doing SEO and digital marketing for over a decade now, and I'm super excited to be here today to chat Search GPT.
And hi, I'm Jane Javer. I'm an SEO manager at NP Digital. I've been in the ever evolving world of SEO for over 8 years and have worked with a variety of brands from enterprise to B2B to B2C. And I'm super excited to share generative AI search opportunities you should definitely be paying close attention to.
So at NP Digital, we're a global ad agency. We have a lot of different divisions and we focus on all services. If you're interested in working with us, just scan that QR code with your phone and it'll lead you to a page, fill your information, and someone on our team will get in touch with you. So as a brief overview, we have over 1,000 employees, 20 plus countries, tons of awards, 60 plus clients, and we see a lot of data of what's working, what's not. And we're already starting to leverage SearchGPT for a lot of our customers, and we wanted to bring what we're learning and what we're seeing to you guys today. But before we dive into what we're learning, first off, it all started on October 31st when OpenAI rang in a new era of search. They're pretty much introducing ChatGPT search, which many of us just call SearchGPT. And that's when it all really started. From there, what you can see is everyone started talking about it, like, oh my God, this is going to be huge, it's going to be amazing. But they weren't really the first, right? You have AI overviews in Google, you have Perplexity, you have U.com, you have Microsoft Copilot, and the list goes on and on. And to give you an idea, Perplexity AI generates over 50 million monthly visits. Nowhere near as popular as ChatGPT, or probably SearchGPT is already getting more usage than Perplexity. But nonetheless, you're even seeing, similar type of results with Google AI Overviews, which has been out for a while, and then they ended up rolling it out to the majority of the countries out there. So you're probably wondering how it has impacted SEO. Well, you guys are familiar with the algorithm updates. I'm not going to bore you with all of them. But the big thing that AI has really impacted is visual and voice search. So if you think about a phone, all right, I'm holding up my phone here. Google Lens, right? When people scan an image, Google Lens gets 10 billion uses a month. Just think about that for a minute. 10 billion uses, right? That's visual search through a phone or a camera. And voice search is growing more and more popular. Everyone on this webinar, when we think about voice search, we're like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Some people are starting to use it. But if you have young kids, what you'll find is the young kids will, their first interaction with search is through voice, like devices like Alexa. But on the flip side, all of us, we learn to search through typing. And these young kids, which are going to be the future, they're used to using voice first, and voice is changing at a very rapid pace. You look at Apple devices has OpenAI integrated within their Siri feature, right? Amazon, I believe, is integrating Anthropic, and the list goes on and on. So voice and visual search is becoming more and more powered by AI and is getting more complex, and you're going to see it as a much more common use case. So you'll start seeing more shifts in trends of what people are searching and how they're searching, and a lot of it will become voice and visual search, and that'll become the predominant way people search in the future. And you also see those 10 blue links. Well, they're becoming the new quote unquote page two. I remember My sales team used to always tell me, Neil, where's the best place to hide a dead body? I'm like, I don't know. And they're like, page two of Google, because no one goes there. And they thought that was the funniest joke. And it's almost becoming like 10 blue links are becoming the new page two, in which people are expecting to be satisfied above the fold with whatever's shown, whether it's AI overviews or people also ask, whatever it may be, and just getting their answers right then and there. Not for all searches, but a good chunk of them. And when you think about search, we're seeing more and more zero clicks. Nearly 60% of searches end in zero clicks, according to SparkToro. We see something similar with our Uber service data, but there's one thing to keep in mind. According to Danny Sullivan of Google, he's a search liaison. He said Google has consistently driven more traffic each and every single year to websites organically since its existence. When we look at the data on our end, we see that as well. So even though Google may not be driving as many clicks percentage wise, total number is increasing because people are using it more and more, and there's also it's growing in popularity compared to what it was 20 years ago, right? I'm not talking about month over month. I'm talking about 15, 20 years ago, Google wasn't as popular as it is today. So are people just using Google for search? Not necessarily. When you look at the data, and we surveyed 11,000 people in 2020 or 5,000 people in 2020 and 11,000 plus people in 2024 and asked them, how do they search for their questions online, specifically related to questions? They used to be where they just mainly use search engines. Now they're using search engines, social media, AI chatbots. There's other solutions as well. I know the percentages add up to more than 100%, but it's because people are using multiple platforms. Similar to the average person uses more than 6 social networks, according to Sprout Social, right? And you're going to see more and more of this over time where people use multiple platforms for search, similar to how they use multiple platforms for social media. So is SEO really even worth investing in anymore? Well, we did a recent analysis on the ROI of SEO for new websites versus established websites. And the results clearly show there's a huge ROI in SEO. Whether people think it's dead or alive, there's a ton of money to be made. So if you're not investing in it, you're leaving a lot of cash on the table. And even though, depending when you look at just search engines, Google is the predominant player, 83.54% market share according to SparkToro. When you look at all the platforms people search on, Google's roughly 18% of the market share. We see roughly 45.1 billion searches. Like even Amazon has 3.5 billion searches a day. Instagram's at 6.5. But when you're just looking at pure traditional search engines, or what most people consider search, Google is still the dominant player. And when you look at their overall traffic from organic, it's not the highest, but this is not where they get the majority of their traffic from. Majority of Google's traffic comes from direct, people just going to google.com directly, and that's still pretty strong. But when you think about non-Google searches, Bing is the center of really the non-Google universe. They're taking up a large chunk of the market share, and people don't realize this, but a lot of ChatGPT search or SearchGPT, a lot of the results are coming from Bing. That is where they're pulling from when they don't have the response, right? So Bing is actually more important than it used to be. You gotta really optimize for Bing as well if you want to do well for ChatGPT search in today's world. And by 2026, traditional search engine volume will drop roughly 25%. This is according to Gartner. Does this mean that search is dying? No, it's just changing to what we call internally search everywhere optimization, where people are using multiple platforms instead of just one. And this is why by 2027, over 90 million people just in the US alone will use generative AI as their primary tool for online search. And this is why everyone here on the webinar needs to start focusing today on optimizing their sites and all their content for all these other platforms so that way you can get ahead of the competition.
So, yes, people will increasingly turn to generative AI tools for search. So, let's take a step back for just a second to go over some of the AI tools out there and their capabilities based on LLMs, large language models. So each AI tool has a slightly different LLM, and some have real time web access while some don't. So the tasks that each AI tool is best at will vary. Most of them are great with writing assistance, providing explanations, but you can see the tools with real time web access are more capable at tasks like coding, problem solving, and image generation. So we won't cover every single AI tool right now and the task it's best for, but just keep in mind, not all AI tools generate results in the same way due to their LLM limits. Now, on to ChatGPT search. As Neil mentioned earlier, it's a new era of search as it provides fast, timely answers with links to relevant web sources because of its real time web access and LLM. So, some of its key features include real time information in its responses, providing sources directly within its response. It incorporates multimedia like images and video. It has publisher controls, and it certainly allows for a more personalized search experiences, provides very in depth answers, and has a real time feedback mechanism. So, when comparing SearchGPT to traditional search engines, it really comes down to context. SearchGPT can provide more personalized yet direct answers due to its advanced natural language understanding. Traditional search engines rely on keywords to find information, and its link based results are separated by source, which does then require more clicks and somewhat of an isolated search experience. SearchGPT is able to understand context, right? Which allows for more conversational and summarized results to be pulled into one answer from multiple sources, all while maintaining an understanding across those multiple interactions with the tool. So, the $1 million question, how do you rank on SearchGPT? Well, we asked over 400 SEOs to rank the factors that SearchGPT views as important, and we're going to outline what you really should be focusing on to rank within SearchGPT, which means that it's time to pivot from SEO, search engine optimization, to generative engine optimization, or GEO.
All right, let's get into it. What is GEO exactly? Let's look at the specifics of where you want to focus your energy to gain more visibility in AI search. Generative engine optimization is the work of optimizing content for AI-powered search. So whether that's AI overviews that appear at the top of Google search, AI-powered bots like ChatGPT, or the new AI search engines like SearchGPT, all of these are places that you want to become visible. Your site can get visibility in AI results in two different ways, which you can see screenshots of here. There are citations where your site is being directly linked to as a source for the AI compiled information. And then there are direct recommendations where your brand or product might be recommended by an AI answer just in the text, but not necessarily directly linked to. Um, Both of these results are great ways to gain overall visibility. So if you work on optimizing for AI search, you can get your brand recommended prominently in AI results. Here's a great example of NP Digital being recommended as the #1 agency to hire for SEO services. So working to get a similar place for one of these questions in your field is possible if you focus on optimizing and optimizing well. So one of the big questions is, is this going to affect clicks and traffic? You might be concerned that ranking in the AI results is only going to lead to less traffic, less clicks, since users might not be clicking through to any site once they have their answers. But a recent Systrix study actually shows that the new AI overview results might actually drive more traffic to websites than featured snippets. So it's not necessarily all a bad thing. You want to get that visibility. And remember, if AI search engines and results see your site as authoritative and valuable enough to be ranking you and their results to be recommending you as a good resource for whatever your focus is, that's only going to be a good thing for you overall.
So one quick thing too is on our SMB division, when Google first rolled out AI overviews, and we did this only in the US because they only rolled out AI overviews at the time, just in the US, we compared a week prior to AI overviews, what were people's SEO traffic, and a week after the rollout, and we compared. And we actually saw an increase in traffic by a little bit more than 1%. I know that's not a lot, but it just shows that you can get extra traffic from it versus the notion that a lot of SEOs had in which like, oh, it's going to crush your traffic and it's going to go to zero, right? We're actually seeing the opposite where it's an opportunity to get more traffic than less.
Definitely. So let's get into the nitty gritty here of how exactly to optimize for these AI search engines. Spoiler alert, a lot of these tactics and strategies might be familiar to you already. And that's because Google itself says to follow SEO best practices to rank well in AI overviews. So if you're focused on EEAT or experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, and if you're focused on creating valuable, optimized content for keywords where you have a right to win, you're going to have a good chance of ranking in AI results overall. So let's keep getting into some specifics. Little overview here of large language models. So understanding how they work. Basically, they just analyze huge amounts of text to understand relationships and patterns. So they're built on machine learning to get specific, a type of neural network called a transformer model. These large sets of text help train the LLM to be able to generate text in response to a prompt. In order to do that for search, it's analyzing websites just like yours to be able to give the most valuable and accurate responses to users. So we're going to get into each of these in more detail, but you want to focus in on several different areas when you're thinking about optimizing for AI search. So I'll pass it back to Jane here to kick it off.
Cool. So first up, relevance and search intent. Nothing brand new here, right? It will just be more important than ever to focus on creating content that aligns with specific user intent, which means creating content that targets long tail queries, includes more of that conversational language and semantic keywords. These topics are often found directly in SERPs within People Also Ask results and in AI overviews, and this could be a great start for content inspiration. Keywords are getting more conversational as consumer behavior evolves. More people today search for something with 3 to 8 keywords than they did in years past. Why? Because we can. LLMs have allowed us to expect more from search responses in this way. And this is the case for traditional search engines and definitely for generative AI search. But you don't want to forget about those high traffic terms in your content creation strategy. So, pairing traffic focus and intent focus, longer tail keywords will be key here. So, for example, targeting accounting software, but with richer queries such as best accounting software for general contractors. Meeting your target audience where they are at with specific search intent rather than trying to boil the ocean in ranking for those broader, very competitive keywords.
The next thing to think about is content quality. Quality is essential, just like it is for traditional SEO. You really want to be showing that experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. So you want to keep your content relevant and updated, and be sure to try and get authoritative backlinks when you can, when it makes sense. When you're going after keywords and thinking about what you want to target and the kind of keywords you want your site to be winning for, you know, relevance really is big. If you have a website about cats, you don't want to be writing about submarines. You want to focus in on the things that you have the expertise in, and the things that Google's going and that AI tools are going to understand, are relevant to your business. Like I was talking about before, right? The AI is like learning about the relationships between contents, the relationships between words, and what makes sense. It needs to be able to understand the context of your website, and that's only going to be helped if you're creating relevant content that is specific to what you do. What kind of content you want to create depends obviously on what kind of business or website you have, but blog posts overall do drive a lot of SEO traffic, and they're a great place to provide answers to questions that users might search, where Google would be serving up an AI overview result. In fact, questions are a huge piece of the pie when it comes to Google. Creating blog posts that specifically answer user questions that are relevant to your business is one great way to rank well in AI results and AI search engines. Using what you already know about your audience to create that personalized content that can speak right to the user you care about the most is a great way to do it. So you want to be asking yourself, uh, is this content something my user wants or needs? Does this content provide real value to them? That's the best way to win both in traditional SEO and with GEO.
And when you're thinking about creating user-centric content, remember that if you think your user needs it, but it's already beaten to death, you probably want to avoid it. And a great example of this is like the nutrition facts about bananas. All right. There's already tons of articles on the nutrition facts about bananas, and I don't think there's too many new studies that tell you how bananas are very different than what people thought a year ago or 5 years ago. So, in general, when something is beaten to death, if you think your users want it, but it's already out there, don't recreate the wheel. Focus on new stuff that your users want that no one else is talking about. Talking about the same regurgitated information that's already on the web doesn't really help drive much more traffic these days. And you could be like, well, content that's updated ranks better. So if I have a page on the nutrition facts about bananas, I'm going to continually update my page so that way it looks better than the competition. Well, at that point, you're just updating it for the sake of updating it versus updating it in a way that provides more value to users. And in that case, you're just wasting time.
Yeah. And you'll also want to focus on entities and schema. So AI interprets context by recognizing entities and the relationships between them. So, like Anna mentioned earlier, AI attempts to connect the dots to build up its context, and there's ways you can help guide it to do so. Funny enough, one of those ways is to actually ask AI itself. So, for example, in order to rank for how to generate an XML sitemap, if that's something you were looking for, entities that should be considered include very relevant concepts that work up to build the context around the entire topic, such as what are search engines, how do website URLs work, what is SEO, sitemap generators in general. Very similar to SEO for traditional search engines. It's all about providing the most comprehensive and in depth coverage on your topic at hand. And in addition to comprehensive coverage, you can utilize schema markup to directly provide engines the most important details about your entities, such as person, place, organization schema, claiming knowledge panels for your brand or company, and leveraging same as schema to serve up, again, those details directly to engines and AI themselves. Another way to do so is Wikipedia. Wikipedia is a very powerful tool to leverage to provide all the context that you can for engines to then interpret. It's an authoritative source and it helps secure more SERP real estate for your brand. Wikipedia results often get featured snippets and increases the chances of AI chatbot mentions as well. So, if you haven't looked into Wikipedia already, we highly recommend doing so to, again, continue to build up that context and the relationships between the entities of your brand.
UX and engagement. User engagement is part of Google's ranking system, according to the leak from earlier this year. So you want to be able to make sure to include it as a part of your overall GEO and SEO strategy to be successful. In that same vein, UX is an important focus if you want to engage users. If your website is like slow, clunky, if it doesn't have like a logical flow, that's not just a difficult thing for Google and search engines to understand, but it's difficult for users to understand, right? You want to make sure that your website is working well. You also want to join conversations beyond just your website. You want to look on websites like Reddit and Quora and see what conversation is happening about your brand. Are there Reddit pages ranking number one and answering questions that maybe your site could also answer? Are there opportunities for you to answer questions yourself and be a voice on these platforms and be a part of the conversation? These are all questions you can ask yourself, find the answers to, because AI will draw on other sites to form its picture of your brand. So you want to be a part of the conversation and be able to help shape the story whenever possible. User-generated content like reviews and comments are also an important factor. Encourage people to share their real-life experiences with your products and services. That'll also help increase your chances of being shown in LLM-driven search.
And at the end of the day, you can have the best content out there. You can be talking about stories within those communities that Anna just mentioned, like Reddit and so on. But if there are technical issues, that content can't perform to its highest potential in traditional search or in AI search. So you definitely want to make sure your content is easily understandable by LLMs. So again, adding schema markup and structured content is key to serve up those important details about your entity. Ensure your content has no crawling issues or no indexing issues, and keeping server response times as speedy as possible and minimizing script execution time whenever possible is vital. You want to take advantage of every opportunity you can to structure your content so it's AI accessible. This means using crawler friendly content formatting with summaries, clear header hierarchy, including bullets, or formatting content within lists, and keeping content sections concise. These are all things that are also very helpful for the user as well as AI and search engines. Also want to utilize internal linking to help guide those crawlers to connect the dots and again build up and gain that context about your brand. And again, using relevant schema markup to directly outline those important content details is key, as well as making sure those crawler directives such as robots.txt files and sitemaps are super clear and don't have any issues.
So one thing to keep in mind is, in addition to using schema markup, when you have content on a page and you're talking about different areas and sections, using headings and labeling them. I know this sounds just really basic and, it was already mentioned, but you got to make it so simple that a 5-year-old can understand when they're reading the page and digest, okay, this is what this section is about. This is what the overall page is about. Oh, these headings fit into the overall theme and it's all around a similar topic, right? But when it's easy for a human to just crawl and skim, not read, the key is skim. So when you're thinking about your pages, put your eyes into as a person who's visiting your site, and if you can skim the page and understand the main points, there's a good chance AI will be able to understand what you're trying to convey as well. If someone can't get the information they're looking for by skimming and they got to read everything word for word, you're doing a terrible job with the overall layout of a page and how easy it is to understand.
Another great way to gain visibility is by doing digital PR. Getting authoritative backlinks and mentions is a great way to boost visibility. Doing industry events, releasing press releases, all of these things can help increase your chance of getting cited in AI results. Whenever you can, you should look to build long-term relationships with reputable publications. That's a great way to grow your authority in your field over time and to be seen as an expert in the space. If you're able to share some data-driven content or give an interview on a subject that you know a lot about, then they can add depth to their article and you are getting visibility, maybe links back to your site. All of these things are a good way to slowly build over time. Another way to get natural backlinks is create really good, shareable, valuable content. So if you're creating something exciting, like an engaging video, or like I mentioned, a study with proprietary data, that's a great way to get those natural backlinks. So making something that users want to share, that other brands and publications might want to share as well, it's a great way to gain traction naturally. You should also create a custom GPT for your brand in order to show LLMs what you're all about. So this is an easy way to show up in these results and to be clear about who you are and what you offer.
So now let's talk about GEO, right? GEO, and a big part of it is just good SEO. There are some nuances, but it really is good fundamental SEO. And when we say good SEO, you got to think in mind not just Google, also all the AI platforms out there. One big thing is you always want continuous learning and you want to adapt. SEMrush allows you to filter SERP features, including AI overviews, so that way you can end up seeing what's happening there. But what you want to do is just continually experiment, right? Make changes on a web page and see what happens to your rankings. See what happens to if you get included in the AI overviews. These things will directionally tell you, are the changes you're making bad or good? And I remember when I first started in SEO, people were like, how'd you get decent at it? I'm like, I just experimented and tried a lot with my website. Now at NP Digital, yes, we do experiment, but we mainly experiment with a lot of our own sites, and we see tons and tons of data on what's working for clients, so we're able to use that and then adapt for all our other clients as well. Just because we're seeing tons of data, that combined with Uber Suggest, Answer the Public, and I think we crawl roughly around like 7-ish billion keywords. So it all adds up. You also want to keep eye out on the competition. We love not tracking our rankings. Yes, that's a necessity, but we more so track and focus on our competition. Because if you're seeing changes that they're making, then you can use like the Wayback Machine to see some of the changes that they're making. And then you can end up seeing, oh, this is how the rankings are going up and down. Well, what are they doing that you're not? Because if their rankings are going up, a lot of it is also based off of user signals. Why is the user preferring their web page over yours? Well, what changes can you make to be better than them and delight the users even more than they are, right? And this will give you better opportunities to get included in places like the AI overviews or within some of these AI search engines like SearchGPT. And you want to keep in mind, we're only scratching the surface of what's really possible with AI. When I look at these platforms and I talk to engineers that are working on them, they don't even know what the future entails. Everyone has their own predictions, everyone has their own ideas, but a lot of it is based off of data and users interacting. Like I was talking to a Google engineer who works on the AI overviews, and when I talked to them about AI and all the changes, he's like, "Look, it's evolving so fast, no one is 100% sure. You release, you get feedback from users, and then you continually adjust. Just like we're learning as things change, they're also learning because when Google AI Overviews first came out, it was for the majority of the queries. Now you look at AI Overviews, it's not for the majority of the queries. They're learning from users just like we're learning in real time from all the AI stuff that's happening out there. So just keep an open mind and look out for new trends and patterns and leverage them when, you realize they're going to end up sticking, so that way you're not wasting time with things that are just quote unquote experiments. As a quick recap, look, make sure your content's easy to skim and usable. I recommend providing summary points. Brand mentions, reviews, and online authority are huge. You got to focus on EAT. A lot of people want to create their content through AI. I'm not saying your content can't be AI assisted, but AI scrapes the web and creates outputs based on what you ask. That doesn't necessarily create new content with EAT. What you have, your experience, your authority, right? Your expertise, those things that you can showcase within your content are much more likely to do better than just AI written content. You want to leverage Wikipedia pages. They really do help boost authority and visibility. I recommend optimizing for long tail keywords and conversational phrases. And you want to focus on intent. There's a lot of keywords that AI is going to optimize for, but you want to make sure that you're focusing on intent related keywords. Informational based keywords are great too to keep you top of mind. But at the end of the day, if a lot of the keywords that you're gaining traffic for because of optimizing for AI overviews has no impact on revenue, then it's okay. But at the end of the day, you're not really moving the needle. And I think that's what a lot of companies get wrong with SEO. They focus on rankings and traffic instead of focusing on, here's my SEO traffic and here's how much revenue we're generating from it. Fast forward a year, 2 years, 3 years. How much more revenue are you generating from SEO? Your traffic could have gone up, it could have gone down, but if your revenue is improving, that's all that matters. And I'll give you a great example of this. We used to rank for keywords like how to get more Instagram followers. Drove hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and thousands of organic visitors a month. No one will purchase $1 million SEO campaign from us or a marketing campaign from that keyword. Whoop-de-doo if my traffic goes down because I don't rank for that keyword anymore. We rank for a lot of global SEO terms. Doesn't drive volume, but it drives large global, 10,000 companies that are all around the world that need help with global SEO. Focus on revenue with your SEO traffic, whether it's from the AI platforms or traditional search, versus just quote unquote more SEO traffic, and using that as a main KPI. And if you need help with your marketing, just take out your phone, scan the QR code, or you can go to npdigital.com and we can help you optimizing for SearchGPT or all the new AI-based search platforms that are coming out, or any other marketing problems you have, whether it's SEO or paid ads or email or social media or conversion or mobile app marketing, right? We pretty much do any type of digital and performance marketing. We also have an upcoming webinar. I think the team forgot to include the QR code right there, but I don't know where they can end up going for that. Sorry about that, but you'll get an email if you're on our email list. And the next upcoming webinar is on how to dominate search in 2025.
Good stuff, Neil, Jane, Anna. Lots of questions for this whole new world of search marketing. We'll start with Neil, but maybe the other two can pile on. How does the GPT model choose the reply sources? I mean, getting the AI overview in SearchGPT or in Google is one thing, but do we have any clue? Do we know anything about how the links to the other sources are included within those results? Any thoughts or ideas or info to share with the crew?
So what I can tell so far, and also talking with other people, they're pulling from where they're getting a lot of the data from, and they're deciding to cite based on that, and that's where the sources are coming from. And let's say if let's say if it's an AI overviews or any of the other platforms out there, they're looking for any of the sources that are helping them come up with the answer. And the main reasons for the citing is you have to remember there's a lot of misinformation out there on Google, right? When you do a search, a lot of the pages just offer inaccurate information. The reason they're citing is they don't want to be quote unquote responsible for giving you bad information. I know that's not directly answering your question, but I don't think anyone has a perfect answer on this is the exact formula that they're using. But when I talk to the engineers, they're telling me, I've literally asked this question, hey, how do you figure out which sites to include for the sources? And they're just like, based on where we're getting the data from.
Yeah, I figured as much. So it's kind of a related question. Do we know how much personalization there is in SearchGPT? For Google, any query, you're kind of getting map packs and they're looking at search history and there's like all sorts of location information and whatnot. Do we have any idea, and maybe this is Neil at first, like how personalization plays into the results there? I mean, it's conversational based, so of course, like previous questions probably influence the response. But are there other things that we know about or that we can learn from as far as personalization goes?
Anna and Jane may have more color than me, but from all the research I've read and people I've talked to, when you look at like SearchGPT, there's not a ton of personalization yet. They'll plan on more in the future, but as of now, it's not like they're showcasing you a lot based on all the data they have. They don't have as much data as you may think as like a Google. Google has Chrome, they have analytics, they have Search Console, they have Gmail, they have YouTube data, right? These are all Google properties. So they have much more data on you to personalize, which is what they're testing with things like recipes and restaurants that a Search GPT will struggle to do so, at least in the short run.
Good
And this
response.
could be why, and I'm making an assumption here, I don't have any data, but this could be why ChatGPT or OpenAI, they're starting to do more deals with companies like Apple, right? I don't know what data they're allowed to collect or not, but in theory, if they're allowed to use the data, which I don't know if Apple's letting them or not, this will create more personalization opportunities in the future.
For sure.
Yeah,
And
that tracks with what I've been seeing, and not a lot of it right now, but I'm very curious to see a year or two down the line how much more of that is included. I don't think it's that far off.
yeah, and we there are a couple questions around optimizing for Bing. We mentioned Bing quite a bit, and Copilot's whatever, a competitor to all of these other AI platforms. How do you, if you optimize for Google, are you inherently sort of optimizing for Bing, or are there any tips or tricks to get greater visibility for Bing? Anyone?
I mean, a lot of what you're going to be doing for Google is going to also help you perform well in Bing, right? It's a lot of the relevant content, targeting keywords that are relevant to you. A lot of that eat stuff is also going to be relevant for Bing.
Yeah.
Janet, do you have any specific tips?
No, at the end of the day, it will really be similar tactics in being able to use tools catered for Bing, like being webmaster tools to find any gaps, but strategically, it's the same tactics.
Yeah. There's an interesting question. I don't know if we've done any studies or have any charts. If not, we should maybe consider doing so. If you're ranking on the top of Google for any given query, do you have a pretty good shot at ranking on top of SearchGPT for the same query? Do we know if there's any sort of correlation between the two there? Anyone?
Yeah, in my experience in analyzing rankings for my clients, um, it's gone up and down over the past year, but a lot of times the top 10 blue links often end up in AI overviews with the source linked. So, like we mentioned, good SEO is the foundation for GEO, and we're seeing that be reflected with what's appearing in those overviews.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's search everywhere optimization, right? So
Mhm. It
Neil
really
dropped that. Yeah. Go ahead, Anna. Did you want to pile in?
Yeah, just to add to that, I think, with Search GPT, we're just going to have to see as it evolves how much the results there match or don't match with what's happening on Google and other search engines. But like we've been saying the whole presentation, following those really foundational and important SEO guidelines and optimizing for EAT is like the best way to be visible overall.
Yeah. So there's also lots of questions here, and I know we don't have a crystal ball, but um, will GPT search become overrun with ads and dominated by large pay-to-play models like Google? Or do you all see this being, a space for smaller businesses to grow? Neil, any thoughts or insights there? I mean, there
I
is a
think it's
subscription
a
model, right?
Yeah, I think this is going to be a great place for small businesses to grow. I think, the big corporations are going to move slower on a lot of this stuff versus the small and medium businesses. It's just a question of getting out there and making changes. And, going forward, big corporations tend to move much, much slower. It's why big corporations buy up smaller ones. The smaller ones innovate faster.
Word. Couple questions about tracking AI results. So is there a way to track AI results to kind of like follow the evolution of like how things are changing? I know Ahrefs and SEMrush have AI overviews. Any other tools that we should be considering? Anyone?
Honestly, not even a tool, but what we've been doing for a while and what I continue to do is with my clients, I'll search the actual query and take a screenshot of what the result is, right? And so that's how we have here at NPD tracked results over time for clients to see the evolution of it, to see how things are changing. It's been really interesting. So I would really recommend just doing that and doing the manual searches. Like tools are great, but sometimes it's good to see exactly how you're showing up and how that's changing over time.
Yeah, incognito for sure. I mean, the AI overviews, like they're there one day, gone the next, and they come back. It's sort of all over the place.
Exactly.
Let's see here. What else do we got? Oh, so there was some talk of Wikipedia. Um, can small businesses set up Wikipedia? I know that's like a can of worms, but like, are small businesses like able to establish Wikipedia presence? Just like yes or no, and then any tips or tricks to make that happen would be appreciated by the audience.
You can, but it has to be. Wikipedia has reasons for a page, and you can look them up. It doesn't matter if you're small or large. It more so if you meet the criteria. Like for example, you could be a small business that someone published a New York Times best-selling author, or you could be a business and you got tons of press for something good or bad, and people could end up writing about you. It's not necessarily your business size. It's about if there's something that's important that people should know. And if you're just like, oh, we should be on Wikipedia, we should have a page because we won this award or that award. That's not really something that most people care about and why you would, get a Wikipedia page or should have a Wikipedia page. It has to be like something noteworthy.
Yeah, for sure. Anything to add? Anyone? And someone did say, don't forget about Search Console when talking about AI overviews. So thanks for the reminder there. Here's a question. I read somewhere, or maybe it was from one of our webinars, that AI written blog posts are being published by Google for ranking. Is that true? Like or punished, excuse me, by Google? What's the scoop? Like human written, AI
No,
written,
it's
assisted written?
this simple. Stop. Don't think about things that being promoted or penalized. Google doesn't care if it's AI written or human written. What they care about is it offer value and is it something unique? And most AI content does not have that, which is why you see most or majority of the AI content not ranking well. It's hard to include E in AI content. Does it mean that AI content can't do well? Not saying that. I'm just saying that most AI written content doesn't include the elements that they're looking for to rank highly. And they don't talk about tons of new stuff, which is what people really want when they're going to web pages. What do you have to offer that no one else does that would be of interest to them?
For sure.
And
And then
that's why it's so important to, use the AI tools if you want. If that's going to help you get the content out, great. But you got to have that human touch and human review to make sure that the content is valuable. You shouldn't just necessarily be putting in a prompt and spitting out a bunch of AI content. You have to have that human touch and human review.
For sure. And last question, we've gotten to most of them, or all of them actually. Is there anything that needs to be done to the robots file to allow these, AI platforms to get access to our content? Do we need to include SearchGPT, user agent? Is there anything we need to do in the robots file? That came up a couple of different times.
You don't, unless you have gone in and disallowed in the robots file. It should be fine. Just make sure there is no disallow directive in your robots.txt for those AI bots. If you don't have that there, then they'll be able to access it.
Awesome. Great stuff. I think we covered everything and we got to all of the questions. Thank you so much, everyone. It was a great webinar. Happy holidays to all. Yes, a recording of this webinar will be sent. So if you missed something, you'll be able to get the replay.
Awesome.
Thank you. See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Bye.